What's up, y'all? This is Miss Kiki. I want to come back and update you all on my BBL results and answer some of your questions that you put down in my comments. I didn't forget about updating any one of my results. Life has been crazy for me and I've been making major changes. So with that, filming has kind of like went by the wayside, but I'm back. So I got a lot of questions about who my surgeon was, what the costs were associated with my surgery, what I did to prep, how my recovery went, and so on and so on and so on. So let's go ahead and get some of those questions answered. All right, so we could start by asking, why did I want a BBL? Just wanted to contour my body and be able to look a little better in my dress clothes or in my jeans, be a better fit for me. So I did it for myself. And when you're doing a surgery, I would definitely and highly recommend that you do it for yourself, not to please somebody else, not to actually, you know, be on social media or what have you. If you're getting a surgery, make sure you do it for yourself. Because guess what? At the end of the day, ain't nothing really gonna change but the way that you look at yourself when you look at the mirror and the way that you feel about yourself. So having a surgery will not change your life. Just giving you a heads up and letting you know that. You'll look different, but nothing drastically will change. So make sure that you're happy with yourself and that you're doing it for self. So initially going in, I wanted to go with a doctor out of Miami. His name was Dr. Hassan. And the reason that I chose Dr. Hassan is because I did research over 2 years and found out he was snatching bitches. When I say snatching bitches, snatching bitches. He was getting rid of all of the fat. On everybody results that I saw, they had a small waist and a really nice portion butt. Wasn't extreme like some of the doctors do over in the Dominican Republic. It still looked natural, but it was back, the butt was back there. So that's why I chose Dr. Hassan originally. So I started off by calling Jolie, and as a requirement to go with Dr. Hassan, they told me that I would have to go in and do a blood panel and get a lot of tests with my doctor and just make sure I was overall healthy and get pre-approved to have surgery through my doctor and with them. So 30 days prior to my surgery, I had to go through that pre-approval process, getting the HIV test, getting the blood panel done, make sure my cholesterol was where it needed to be, etc., etc. I did all of those tests and I sent it in to Jolie. 30 days prior to my surgery, my doctor approved me to have surgery with Dr. Hassan. I was so happy. I was gonna have this banging body and everything was just great. Jolie, up until that point, had been a really good surgery center. They were very proficient with answering my calls and everything. But 30 days into my surgery, I got a call, not from my surgery coordinator, but from the manager, Claudia, at Jolie, telling me that Dr. Hassan would be out of town for a month, that he canceled all his surgeries, and that I could go with another doctor, or I would have to actually reschedule for a sooner or later day. But I decided to go with A and go with another doctor simply because I already had monetarily invested like $2,000 into getting my flights booked and into getting my hotel, and all of that was non-refundable. So I don't got money like that. I was definitely not about to waste that money. So I just decided to go with a different doctor. They gave me all of my options. I went in, I did my research again, and I decided to go with Dr. Barani. And I'll tell you all of the details on how that went. But first, let me tell you what I was using to do my research, because that's one of the questions that I got in the comments. Everybody normally say they use Real Self. Yeah, originally I started off using Real Self. It's a website where real people come and give results, testimonies, and stuff like that. Yada, yada. I didn't go with Real Self. I decided to go with Facebook. And on Facebook, a lot of people don't know, but it's private surgery groups. And every doctor has their own surgery group. And it's also a surgery group for Jolie. And it's a surgery group for Miami. It's a surgery group for the girls in Dominican Republic. All of those surgery groups are behind the scenes and private. And normally you got to sign up and prove yourself to be included and join those groups. So yeah, I started off looking and researching my doctors through those surgery groups. and I made my final decision on who to go with that surgery group by looking at some of the young ladies who had surgery, who were having surgery, who been had surgery, and all of the above. So yeah, that helped me drastically just decide and make my decision on Dr. Garani. A lot of the young ladies were happy with their results. They were similar to Dr. Hassan. Yeah, he was a little more expensive, but he had more credentials. He was double board certified, and he had really good bedside manner. So I decided to go with Dr. Garani, and I was on the road to getting pre-approved again because they made me go through the whole process of pre-approval again. So I had to go back to my doctor. Dr. Garani was strict about just making sure that all of his people were like in top shape. So he required you to do an EKG. When I first went in to do my EKG, that was a mess because they told me my heartbeat was irregular. I had to go to a cardiologist to get approved by the cardiologist, and wasn't nothing wrong with my heart. So yeah, I actually went to a cardiologist, got approved by that specialist, sent those results back over to Jolie. This is where things took a horrible turn with Jolie and made me stress the heck out. I was already stressed out with having to change my doctor after doing my research for 2 years. But 2 weeks before my surgery, I'm still asking Jolie, like, did y'all get my information? Am I pre-approved? Did you get my EKG? And they're telling me I gotta go back and do this, I gotta do that. They didn't get it. It was just a mess. I found out Jolie was some type of call center. Every time I would call, I would kind of get different opinions, different people. It was a wreck with dealing with Jolie prior to surgery. Now, I ain't gonna lie, when I got to the actual surgery center, I got to meet Christina, I got to meet my coordinator, I met all of the young ladies. It was day and night to having to talk to those people on the phone. The people were extremely friendly, and it was totally different when in person. But prior and leading up to surgery, it was a mess. My surgeon got changed. It took all day to get pre-approved. They were giving me the runaround. It was around a holiday, if I'm not mistaken. Some of the people were not in. They were told it was just a mess and a wreck. So prior to surgery, Jolie pissed me off. I ain't gonna lie. So I just left my pre-op appointment, and I can't complain. Everybody was extremely nice. I met with Christina. She signed me in and helped me fill out all of my paperwork. She was extremely a sweetheart. And then I went and did my vitals with Jenny. She pretty much just took your blood pressure. That's about it. And we talked a bit about my surgeon and his results, and she gave me some pretty good insight, so I feel extremely good right now. And that was Jenny. Jenny was really nice. So my experience is day and night so far from calling into the call center. In person, everybody is very personable and nice, so I'm very impressed. So next question, what did I do to prep for surgery? Going into surgery, Dr. Garani had an expectation that your hemo or hemoglobin, which is pretty much like the iron within your blood, he had an expectation that be like 12. Leading up to surgery, I only was able to get my hemoglobin up to 11.9, which to me was very stressful. I did everything possible to try to get it to 12, but I had little to no success. And when I say I did everything possible, I ordered stuff on Amazon, like that liquid iron stuff. I ate a whole lot of like red meat. I was eating the heck out some steaks. Just eating steaks like crazy. I was going to this health food store that was like located right next to my employer, and I was drinking bee juice, getting bee juice made fresh and stuff like that. I was doing everything possible that they told me to do in my surgery group, and that helped other people, but it still didn't help. I wasn't able to get my hemo above 11.9. So my surgery coordinator reached out to me like 2 weeks before surgery and told me that I got the pre-approval to have surgery, but in order to go with Dr. Garani, it was necessary for me to do a cell saver, which a cell saver pretty much is like a machine that spins your blood, and it's some sort of like transfusion thing that'll help you as far as like keeping as much blood, or just help you with your recovery overall. So it was a requirement that I do the cell saver machine in order to actually have surgery, and that added an additional $500 onto my costs. So as I stated, Dr. Garani was more expensive than Dr. Hassan. I would just assume because of his credentials. It was, if I'm not mistaken, normally like $1,000 more with Dr. Garani. So what did I do as far as like prepping? I told you guys I ate right. I took iron and stuff like that. But let me tell you about taking iron before I proceed. It's very important, if you're gonna be taking iron, that you do the right intake and do your research as it relates to taking iron, because it can be detrimental. It can cause hemorrhoids, it can cause you to be constipated, it can cause a lot of things. So make sure that you're consuming the right amount of iron. Just don't go overboard and start taking iron like crazy, trying to get your hemoglobin, hemo up. Really focus on doing it right as it comes to definitely your iron intake. I would recommend that you take in a lot of fiber. Well, it helped me. That worked for me. It actually helped me with my constipation and stuff like that. So make sure if you're gonna be taking iron that you actually do the right intake with it, because it can cause other problems and you don't want to have those problems, trust me. So I prepped myself to just make sure that I was ready as far as my hemo, and then I also purchased my supplies. I didn't go overboard. I learned in my surgery groups early on that it wasn't essential to have all of those things that people were buying, like the BBL pillows and all of that extra stuff. The things that I actually purchased that were essential to just making sure I recovered well. My doctor made you prep with Dial soap the morning of your surgery. He wanted you to scrub your body with Dial soap. I also purchased like wet wipes. I purchased tank tops. I needed, and when I tell you, if you go into like a hotel, Airbnb, or you're gonna be recovering at home, make certain that you get bed chucks. Make sure you get shower curtains too. You can actually get them at the dollar store, shower curtain liners. Because if you're gonna be dealing with a doctor like my doctor, Dr. Garani, he doesn't use the drains. So I was bleeding everywhere. So that came and really handy just to make sure I didn't get blood anywhere. So yeah, the bed chucks and the shower curtains are a must, especially if you're not using, if your doctor doesn't use drains. You're gonna be bleeding so much that first night, bleeding like really bleeding. I also took panties. I took stool softeners. Stool softeners are a must. I started taking those 2 days before my surgery to make sure I wasn't constipated, and that helped so much. I was able to use the breast room or poop day 2, which was really good compared to some of the ladies in my surgery group and what it took for them to actually be able to go to the restroom. It's essential also to get a urinal. I got the clear urinal, the one that's used for like males, that you actually can pee into and dispose of, opposed to the one that you stand up with at the restroom or what have you. The clear urinal was the bomb. My first 3 days recovering, I needed that. It was so essential to my recovery. But someone in my family who went with me decided to put it alongside the toilet, and the cleaning lady came in and cleaned the hotel room and threw it in the garbage. So I was so pissed when my urinal got thrown out. But yeah, the urinal is a must. And then I would recommend that you get 2 fahas. One of my fahas came included with my surgery, but I also purchased the second faja from one of the Colombian shops there. You're gonna want 2 fahas because you're gonna be bleeding so much. You don't wanna have to actually have anyone cleaning your faja or having to clean your faja. You want to make sure it stays clean at all times. So just being able to have that second faja to rotate it throughout your day it's very important to have 2 fajas, because you want to stay in your faja at all times, and you don't want to be stinking. You want to make sure you're clean and you have good hygiene. And then of course I purchased my normal toiletries like toothpaste, mouthwash, and stuff like that. What did I do also to prep? Let's see. I pretty much just made sure my hemo was where it needed to be, and I purchased those little essentials. I also purchased a Boppy Pillow. I didn't purchase the BBL pillow. Well, I did initially on Amazon, but I took that thing back. It was so hard. I tried sitting on that thing and it was so uncomfortable, and I felt like my butt was still touching the chair. It was just useless to me. So the Boppy Pillow, along with a regular pillow to support my back, was the bomb. I used my Boppy Pillow up to 6 weeks after my surgery. I took that thing everywhere with me. I drove in my car with it. I sat in the passenger seat in my guy's car with it when he drove me around. I took that thing to work. I was able to take it out of the case so it didn't look like a kid pillow and just had like the white part of it, so people really didn't know exactly what it was when I was carrying it around. But yeah, I took that thing everywhere. That Boppy Pillow is the bomb. And I only purchased that for like $35 at Target. So yeah, the Boppy Pillow is a must. So the next question is, what tests are to be expected prior to your surgery? So when I arrived at the surgery center, they check your BMI just to make sure it's in line with what you sent over initially to them. So they're gonna check your height and your weight, and they're also gonna give you a blood pressure test to make sure your blood pressure is where it needs to be, and ask you a lot of questions, have you signed a lot of affidavits and things like that. So that's the expectation when you go to your pre-appointment, the day prior to your surgery. The day of surgery, when you actually get back into surgery and you're starting to robe and put on your garment and stuff to go back into surgery, and put on your socks and your hat and all that goodness, you're gonna get a drug test. And with that drug test and panel and pregnancy test, it checks for everything, every possible drug. I believe it was like 10 drugs that it tests you for that was there. So just make sure you're on an up and up as far as not taking any drugs, because they're gonna test your pee and check you for everything prior to sending you back into surgery. They'll also collect any money that you have that's due prior to surgery. Then you can expect for your doctor to come in. I waited because I arrived at the surgery center at 11 a.m. as told, and I waited till like 5 p.m. before I was able to see my doctor. So he was in surgery, I would just assume, that entire time. But when he came in, it was a weight uplifted off my shoulder. I felt so good because he made me feel so warm. He was really assertive. He kind of told you what to expect and what he was going to do for you, opposed to saying like, hey, can I see pictures and what do you want and stuff like that. He kind of made it clear that he will give you the best shape that fits your body, and what he could do for you, which I liked. It was a little different than what I expected. I thought I would actually come in showing him pictures, telling him what I expected. I still told him like the kind of body and shape I was looking for, but he didn't want to see any pictures. So Dr. Garani is very assertive, and he knows what's to be expected and what he's gonna do for his patients. So just take that into account. So after meeting with Dr. Garani and he talks to you for a couple of minutes or what have you, he's gonna mark you up, and you're gonna go back into surgery. The anesthesiologist comes in. He's gonna prep you with an IV. He's gonna tell you, you're gonna be going out to sleep and stuff like that. So I walked back into the surgery room. In my instance with the anesthesiologist, I was so nervous because I walked past several rooms. I could see into the room and see people having their surgery, and I was just overwhelmed with being nervous. So as soon as I hit my surgery room, sat down on the table, I expressed to the anesthesiologist, I want to go to sleep right away. Put me to sleep right away. Do not waste any time. Knock me out. And sure enough, he told me I was going to feel like a burning sensation coming through my IV. And I felt that. It was like a rush of like fluid, and it felt like I was burning, and boom, I was out immediately. I wanted to be put to sleep right away, and sure enough, they put me to sleep right away. When I woke up from surgery, I already had my faja on. They had already pretty much took me off of all of the machines and things like that, and I had no idea where I was at. When I woke up, the best thing about waking up was having my family there with me. I was the last patient there. It was like 9 o'clock at night when I got out of surgery. And the first face that I saw was my daughter. She came back into the waiting area where I was laying down in the bed. And I saw her and I immediately recalled where I was at that time. Because at first you're going to be miscombobulated, waking up, not knowing where the hell you at, feeling cold as hell. And you just going to be overwhelmed with just coming out of surgery. But having a familiar face there, a familiar voice, really helped me at that time. So the first person that I saw was my daughter. When she saw me, she told me my eyes were huge. I guess it was the meds or what have you. She saw me, I was bloody and stuff like that. She threw up on the floor, which was crazy. But yes, she threw up at the facility and she threw up on the floor.